What's going on, everybody? It's your boy Spencer taking a look at Labrynth. And what I've done, because you guys know, if you've been around my channel long enough, you know I can never make a normal deck. I have to do something super spicy, right? Super off topic, or something that people really aren't trying. And I'm actually surprised I haven't seen more of this. Like, Traptrix and Labrynth work really, really well together. And this is like one of the coolest things I think that you can do. So what you can do is normal summon Ariani, Ariane. I don't know, the Labrynth Servant. So you get to send a normal trap from your hand. Well, obviously trap tricks. That's the whole thing. Normal traps, right? Send it from your hand to the graveyard. You get to special summon a level 4, so that can bring out Servant, and then Servant can search something like Big Welcome Labrynth. Now, there's a while, and then I think in some of these replays you'll see I run the normal Labrynth trap, the other one, the original one, but it locks you, and I think out of your extra deck for like a while, and also it like locks you into Fiend Monster, so like it doesn't trigger Sara. But luckily, Big Labrynth or Big Welcome Labrynth essentially does the same thing, so it does kind of work out in the end. But it's cool because I can bring out 2 level 4s, and I can go into this new card that's coming out in the structure deck. But it's a trap trick monster, so you can actually search something for follow up, and then you can change that into Traptrix Sara, and that's actually, pretty decent. And look at that, this guy's playing Runic. He has destruction. I think it's flashing fire. I don't remember what it is, but he mills 2 holes, like trap hole cards or whole normal cards, normal trap cards, and then my silver castle. So like there's so many things that don't matter that when you mill, but like he chose so many of them. But oh, okay, that's flashing fire. I get the names mixed up. They look so similar, honestly, to me. Just looks like a yellow blob. You have to like really look at the cards to even know what's going on. This card's crazy. So it brings something out and then immediately is interruption too. It immediately bounces from your hand. So when this card special summons, you have to bounce a monster you control to the hand. So if you don't have any ones that you kind of want to bounce, and you'll see later in some of the replays I get a little bit better at that, but you can just bounce Lady Labrynth back to your hand. You activated a Labrynth card, so you get to special summon it right away. So what happens is you have this card in rotation now, right? Every time you activate a trap card, I think it's a normal trap card, you get to set a different normal trap from your deck. That's crazy. And then obviously Big Welcome Labrynth banishes to bounce a card from his hand. So I ended up negating, I think, his first copy of Cricket, and then I like bounced the other one to his hand. But yeah, that follow up ends up coming in handy there. Normal summon, this card's really good. This is one of the new monsters as well. And honestly, just like a really good rank 4 engine with Traptrix here. And I think, I don't know, I don't think, because I've seen normal Labrynth, and I just like, I'm sure the Floodgate version is 20 times better, but I think playing Floodgates is the most boring thing in all of Yu-Gi-Oh! But a Constellar Diamond is so good. Like it really is. If you can play this card in a rank 4 engine, you beat Despia. Despia can't play. They can't activate Branded in Red because any card sent from the graveyard to the hand is banished instead. So I'm pretty sure Branded Red requires you to add that monster to the hand and then fusion summon using it, but they can't. And obviously they can't activate Branded Fusion, not even if they have the continuous spell, which is absolutely crazy. And you'll see in these replays that like you'll get into these resource loops that you simply like your opponent will never ever be able to break. It's like unstoppable at some point. Like once you get going. This is a really good opening. So I get to normal summon Murmello, and that's going to give me additional trap. And it's just really good like Ash Bait and Imperm Bait and everything like that. And you can go ahead and activate the new one, right? You can activate it the turn it's sent, and this is just so cool, right? So you get to trigger here to special summon, and then you can like send one of your whole trap cards, and then just bring up Dionia. Dionia is such a good card, and then Dionia can set it back. So you actually just lose no advantage from activating this early, and I think that's kind of the idea. So what you end up getting is like 2 interruptions basically, and then Garden can come out, and yeah, usually I'll always blind Constellar Diamond. It literally is that good. Plus, I'm going to be able to trigger Welcome Labrynth. I had Imperm. I had Bottomless Trap Hole. I had Gravedigger's Trap Hole. Plus, my opponent can't send cards to the graveyard. Like, those are really good, and that's why I really like these floodgatey cards, you know, something to help circumvent. Like, I think that these trap decks rely too much on these like compulsory evacuations. It was like, you know, you're playing these like level 4 monsters. I feel like you can get like a lot more advantage out of it because they can. There's a lot of good like rank 4 support. Obviously, it's been around forever. This is against Ninja, and this is like that new card. So this works really good with Big Labrynth, right? Because it just special summons itself, and I think it just protects your set spells and traps. So like I said, this is usually good imperm bait. Parallel Exceed is obviously just crazy in this deck because Sara points downwards. So that helps you go into a rank 4. I can go into a Rafflesia, and then I can special summon here, and then I can, you know, obviously trigger the effect there, which is fantastic. And then I'm just going to set the trap card. So I'm going to be able to trigger it during my opponent's turn whenever I want to, which is really good because the new monster that when normal summon it adds the field spell, but when it's special summon, it you know, it banishes a opponent's special summon monster, which is very, very good. So I'm going to go ahead and banish that face down because I think it has a flip effect. So I'm just going to go ahead and do that. It's going to trigger Sara. Sara gets to set a trap card, and that's obviously just, you know, very good. All right, let's just keep this going here. Yeah, any trap trick plus paralleled is just so good. So I'm just going to go ahead and normal summon there, grab the field spell. So, yeah, I don't know. That rank 4 engine with the Labrynth stuff, the one that discards and special summons, like, it's definitely really good. And that, like, looked like a pretty cool combo. But, like, normal summoning this card is so good because the field spell really is, like, pretty fantastic. It just protects your, you know, Traptrix Sara. And if this is on the board, then your opponent's probably not going to do anything. Yeah, so I'm going to go into Diamond, and I wanted to showcase this because there's a few things that I'll show in some of these replays where it's like a misplay, but it's really just something I wanted to highlight. So you cannot activate Rafflesia because Constellar Diamond doesn't allow either of you to send cards from deck to graveyard, but I'll take my chances with that. Like, you could usually, I mean, obviously, under normal circumstances, you probably make this into like Abyss Dweller or something like that, you know? So I'm going to go ahead and trigger there because he sets a card face down. So I was going to bring out, you know, Urmello to pop from the deck. My field spell protects here, which is pretty cool. And I'm pretty sure this also can't be destroyed by battle as long as this is on the field. So kind of double protection for Sara there. He's going to bring out Rocket Tracer. Already used the effect, so I'm just going to go ahead and banish there. And I can normal summon Dionea, which brings one back on normal summon. And this is going to banish a card. It's going to trigger Sara. So I can search, or I can set trap hole, and that's what the Labrynth stuff works really well. Because normally your hole, like the trap hole cards, like end up just stuck in your graveyard under normal circumstances. But you know the Labrynth main deck boss monster sets a normal trap every single turn, so you just kind of get those back, and then you just don't lose after that. This is against Cubic, so there's lots of like really unique outs, and that's kind of what I like about this deck. Like Welcome Big Labrynth is like one of your main ones, but you have like a lot of extra deck versatility, so lots of cool stuff like that. It's always terrible to see this in your hand. This is like about as close to a Garden as you're ever going to get. The only thing is like this is such a good, like when it goes through, it's incredible. So good, right? Seeing this with like any trap trick card is like unbelievable. But the only problem, you know, is that if your opponent imperms it, it's just so, you've just gotten -2. And then, like, it just doesn't do anything by itself, right? Like, its whole purpose is to bring something out. So if it gets impermed, it's just really, really bad. Twin Twisters, so probably a good thing here that I went second. I'm going to go ahead and attack there. I can turn that into Zeus, right? That's pretty cool. I think this stays here, but he's going to be able to special summon it. So I do have to get kind of creative. It's funny, I have all these trap cards, but I don't really have a clean out to Cubic Seed. Although, I guess I could have just stunned Mermello, right? But I figure I probably have like other outs. He's going to go for Twin Twisters. I'm going to go ahead and negate, right? He puts Twin Twisters in this column, doesn't play around Imperm, and gets punished really, really hard for that. So I'm going to go ahead, and this is going to add, I believe, the other monster. I just want to give myself, you know, another body. So that's always a cool thing when you do have a bounce available, like something that you're okay with sending to your hand, right? This is such a good normal summon. And I brought this out this turn, so this ended up working out. So if you do have a card that you'd like to bounce to your hand, it's always better to go into Servant, right? Because that's a level 4 body, and that's like super important. And that way your level 4 body can search you, you know, Lady Labrynth like you were before, but now, you know, you just have a little bit more advantage. Because it can obviously just special summon itself out whenever. And then when I activate a trap card, you know, it's going to give me another one, which is just awesome. Okay, he's going to, go ahead and attack over Sara. That's fine. So I can attach a material. What I'm going to attach is the trap because it can banish itself from the graveyard, and that's obviously pretty cool to bring back like a Traptrix monster. All right, so this is going to get to come back. I'm going to go for Gaga Magician. I was running this for a while, right? I can just bring back one of my level 4s, and then I can go into Utopic Draco. I think I still have it in the deck. It's pretty cool, right? Especially when you get into the later stages. It's always cool to have like this really cool control deck and like an entire like fully fleshed out extra deck as well. So I'm going to go ahead and bounce that back row. I don't know what it is. I feel like it's like a Drowning Mirror Force or something. He's going to go ahead. I think this is a trigger effect. I don't think it's by choice. So all I have to do is, negate that with F0 and I'm like kind of good to go. He's going to send a cubic card. I should have gone into Constellar Diamond long ago. And that's cool, right? This thing lets you banish and a monster you control or bring back a Traptrix monster. So I took control of his V-Jam with F0 and then I banished it off the field spell to get rid of it so I can go into a rank 4 body. Yeah, and the program looks a little funky. I could not tell that was in defense position, so this was a misplay by me. I should have just gone into Abyss Dweller, but I was going to try to get cheeky, and it didn't work out for me, but what are you going to do? He's going to go into the boss monster. I don't think it's unaffected by everything, so I'm just going to go ahead and, bottomless that. That's going to be able to set another trap card. And this is how, like, Traptrix has always been. Like, once you get going, like, your opponent definitely has nothing that they're going to be able to do to stop you. And I'm going to go ahead and just normal summon, right? This just gets stuck in my hand, which is very unfortunate. But, yeah, isn't that cool? I can set, like, Imperm. So Imperm's obviously just, like, really, really good in this deck. Definitely a card that you're going to want to have. He's going to bring out another Dooza. That's fine. Look at this. Look at how much advantage I have compared. So he's going to go ahead and try to use the effect. I'm going to go ahead and negate that. I can bring out Murmello. Murmello can go ahead and pop the last back row here. And then I can change that into Ptolemaeus. I can change that into Constellar Diamond. And I'm off to the races here. He's got Dharma, but I set that infinite impermanence off of the Lovely Labrynth. So that's pretty hilarious. This lets me reset a normal hole trap card. So it just ends up being, it's just endless advantage. Like literally every zone possible on my field is filled, right? And this pops a card or pops a card in your opponent's hand. Just such a good card for control. It's just unfortunate that I wish it had the effect of like the other level 8 that came out that lets you special summon from hand if a Labyrinth card was. This card would be so crazy if it did do that. It's like almost too balanced in a sense. This is against, I think, Raid Raptors. I couldn't really tell, but again, just when you see these two cards, like any Traptrix plus this, like you're just in such a good spot. So I'm going to go ahead and search this one so I can go ahead and, flip this. Like anytime you can do this, you're always going to do this. And then I even misplayed here. Like, why would I do this? Why would I not send Gravedigger's Trap Hole so that I can use Traptrix during my opponent's turn? Just stupid, right? Because I had Dionysus. Dionysus? Is that what it's called? Dianea. Okay, I just could have set it to the field, and I showed that earlier. Just a dumb misplay by me. But I'm going to go ahead and, bring out the Silver Castle, bounce it back to the hand, special summon it back to the field. That way I have the bounce. And then, every time I use a trap card too, I'm going to have, like, some sort of, like, crazy advantage. So we each get to draw a card and discard one card. That's fine. And there we go. Now I'm going to set Compulsory Evacuation, and thus my loops start. And my opponent's like, yeah, I don't know. Like, you better kill me now. But, you don't. I have also another Floodgate up here. And another, trap card coming down the pipeline here. He's going to special summon Boots. He's going to go for Raiders, for Ystrix. This is a dark monster, which is hilarious. And I still had the bounce, too, which is, like, really important. But, yeah, Constellar Diamond prevents your opponents from sending cards from deck to graveyard, but also is just a general dark Omni-Negate monster effect specifically. But my opponent was playing a dark deck, so unfortunately for him. This is against Subterror Guru. Yeah, see, I cut this card. Special summon a Labyrinth from your deck also until the end of the phase after this card resolves. You can't special summon other than, I think, Fiend monsters. And you also, like, can't summon from the extra deck. So it's a little too much, I feel. Like, this is just Traptrix now. So I just banished the extra copy of Big Labrynth. And that's just kind of how I operate. Constellar Diamond plus Bottomless Trap Hole plus Welcome Labrynth plus Gravedigger's Trap Hole, plus Sara. Pretty good, pretty good. Right, my opponent cannot activate Red Eyes Fusion. He cannot send cards from deck to graveyard. So I've basically just stopped his biggest play. Normally that clears a lot of boards if he gets to go through. But so I'm going to go ahead and summon out, Lovely Labrynth. That way I'm just getting ready for my interruption. Yeah, and I'm not going to be able to go into the extra deck here, which is super, super unfortunate. Although I think it's until the end of the next turn. So I should be able to, I think, because I activated it. No, I activated during my opponent's turn, so this is my turn too. Yeah, the card's good, right? Just being able to freely special summon a body, but yeah, it's got to be. This card is too restrictive, at least like the way that I play the deck, of course. So he's got Behemoth. I'm gonna have to deal with that, right? Every time he flips, he gets to banish a card. He's gonna keep going. I cannot believe he did not banish Constellar Diamond. It's kind of shocking to me. I thought he was gonna hard fusion summon the Red Eyes Fusion, but maybe that's what he's going for. I'm not sure. So he's like, hopefully I can get the other piece. But yeah, I'm going to go ahead and pop that. It was Red Eyes Fusion. I don't want to flip that up, right? Because it's going to banish my card that I control. Don't know why he doesn't flip it up himself, right? Like, why would you not want to banish every single turn? But maybe it's because I don't know. Actually makes no sense at all. But okay, I'm going to go ahead and just bring this body out. I can bring out the other big one, Lady Labrynth of the Silver Castle. I can add another Labyrinth card, just kind of giving myself free cards here. Still so much interruption. I'm still so far ahead, but this deck does have like a weird time when it comes to assembling lethal. But at some point, your opponent just really frustrated. It kind of reminds me of Sky Striker, where you just get so far ahead that your opponent, I don't know. Like, I've been in that situation too. It's like, I don't even know if, like, technically if I played this through, like, how many more turns it would go through, but it's like you were so far ahead of me, it's like almost not even worth the effort. He's playing Goaty, Mutant Goaty. Or is it pronounced fish or something? I don't know. It's Goaty. I'm not going to call it anything else. That's what it's spelled. But he's going to go into this. I think this negates spell cards. And then he's also just going to kind of get his little combo set up. And it's going to get him prepared for, the Goaty Synchro Monster that banishes all cards of the field. But I don't know. If I can just force it out, I feel pretty good. Because he only has one card in hand. So I don't think what's the other card that's like that? Topologic. It's the one that banishes all the cards. Like, that's not good enough. You know what I mean? It's got to be something else. I was going to try to, bait to the end phase here. That's why I didn't set this one. Because technically I could use it next turn if I have a normal trap card. But, yeah, I knew he was going to go for that eventually. But I did want to set it. Otherwise, I wouldn't have any plays. I just basically forced this out. He's going to set a card. We'll see what it is. I do have a Traptrix in the graveyard. So, Diania definitely would be online technically. Although, pretty cool, right? I sent this to the graveyard so I can just bring back this card, the new one. But Guska's pretty good for a rank 4 because it can't be targeted by card effects and it cannot be destroyed by card effects. So it's a good way to, like, get to Zeus, basically, before your opponent can really do anything about it. So I'm going to go into Parallel Exceed, right? I just wanted to get rid of this. It does come back, but he's not going to be able to interrupt me. So I can also bring back Lady Labrynth to the Silver Castle. Welcome Labrynth is going to be online, and it's obviously half decent. So I'm going to go ahead and trigger. It's going to give me usually compulsory evacuations, like the one to go to. It's like a very, very good effect. And then it's also going to trigger here with Lovely Lady Labrynth, which is great. I'm going to go ahead and attempt to set a card. He's going to go ahead and negate there. And I'm just going to, chain compulsory evacuation. And then I can chain dimensional barrier, meaning you won't be able to fusion summon or synchro summon, whatever I ended up needing it to be. But that's such a good effect, Like, once you get into turn 3, if it lasts that long, like, you probably have, like, a 90% chance, I would say, of winning the duel. If you're really that far in and you kind of get your engine rolling. This is against Dragoonity, so I'm going to put up a pretty decent board here. This is probably just a Traptrix monster, and that's maybe a little bit better, right? Because I'm even, getting rid of Big Labrynth in this case. And that's just like, that doesn't feel very good. But I can go into Rafflesia, you know, activate the field spell. Like, I don't have to go into Sara, right? There's no law against it, especially because I have Dimensional Barrier. Like, I'm feeling pretty good at that point. Like, I'm probably going to activate it during this turn, too. So we'll see what my opponent ends up playing, right? I still have Interruption with Fleasley as well, plus Ash Blossom. So it's more Interruption than you might think, right? Because I have Welcome Big Labrynth in the graveyard, too. I'm going to go ahead and negate there, right? I don't want his Magnemite to go through. It's kind of like a dead card in his hand now, right? He takes 2k damage, which I guess is kind of cool. I'm just going to go ahead and bounce that to the hand because he was trying to equip. He has to discard, and then I think he gets to equip from the deck. But if I bounce it to the hand, you know, compulsory evacuation style, well, there's nothing going to come out. And I know there's a Bisteel on his hand, Magnemite, and that's not really going to do anything, right? He's going to have to activate it during his turn, and that's like, he's already so far behind at that, you know, once I'm to that level. All right, this is against Despian. Like I said, Constellar Diamond is just like literally kind of like an FTK. He's going to activate Foolish Burial. You know, I have an Impermanent Ash, which is obviously very good. He's going to go for a Luber. I never ash the Aluber or anything like that, right? Just in case they hard open the, you know, Branded Fusion. Also, right, you can just like miss too. He's going to go for Branded Loss, right? But Ash Blossom does not negate cards. It negates the effects of the card. So I can still activate Ash here. I'm going to go ahead and Imperm there, right? I don't want this to go through. That's not going to happen. And then he's going to set 2 and pass. Yeah, Ashing Branded Fusion still like super, super good, right? He's going to go ahead and Fusion Summon there. But like this, obviously this doesn't really do anything other than kind of put me on a clock, so to speak. That's perfectly fine. So Sara's going to trigger, right? He activated a normal trap card, which is just awesome. So I'm going to go ahead and pop that last back row, and that's really, really cool as well. And I'm going to go ahead and, you know, send that to the graveyard so I can go into Constellar Diamond, because I'm thinking, like, my priority for sure has to be to go into this card, because my opponent has Branded Fusion, I lose anyways. And this is where, right? He's trying to add Tragedy to the hand, you can't. It's got to get banished. Now, he's going to get a Luber. That's definitely something. But even if he searches Branded Fusion, he's not going to be able to use it. You cannot send cards from deck to graveyard. And that's like the power play of this deck. 100 billion thousand %. So he's going to be able to get over the cards on my board. But I think I'm fine, right? Maybe if I get a normal trap, I can just kind of keep my plays going here. And, you know, if I control no spell and trap cards, I can, you know, put a trap hole back. So when your opponent clears your board, if you have this card in your graveyard, you can kind of get some of your advantage back. He's going to go ahead and negate there, you know, bring back Masquerade, but that's fine. You know, it's going to be banished when it leaves the field anyways. I could have actually gone for this card, but I'm thinking, well, Bottomless Trap Hole is probably pretty good too. For this case specifically, like, really his only out is Albaz. So if I just Bottomless Trap Hole, it has to use Fallen of Albaz. So that's not going to work. So all I have to do now is just go ahead and, you know, banish this. And now I can normal summon, and this is like a good card to send to the graveyard. So I can bring this back, bring back Mormello. That way I can, you know, pop the Branded Loss. That card's just insane. Card's so, so good. And then I can grab myself a Welcome Labrynth. Go into Sara, go into Tornado Dragon. This was like before my extra deck was like fully fleshed out. But this is obviously pretty good, you know, in case my opponent has something else like that. Or like, you know, the Bisteel continuous trap card. I can go ahead and set there, and I can, you know, pop with Tornado Dragon as well. That's what this card is. That's kind of why I had Tornado Dragon. I can normal summon, you know, go for the field spell, but I'm so far ahead, right? That's going to activate, so I can go into Grave, and then that's going to trigger here, right? I can go ahead and set Bottomless Trap Hole. These cards work so well together. This card's such a, like, the MVP. I can go into Diania. Okay, and then I can go ahead and set another card. Look at, I've just set back all of my interruption in one turn. Like, these cards work so well together. So I think if I can just focus on doing that, I think what I'm going to do is like deconstruct the deck and then build it from scratch and be like, okay, these are the interactions that were really good. How can I make sure those happen like the most times? I'm just going to show one more here. This card's fine to see in your hands, like really not bad at all. I'm going to turn that into Sara with Parallel Exceed. It's just kind of OP. probably going to blind Constellar Diamond. I think that's objectively the right choice. I think it just hits so many different decks. Card's really, really good. It was on the ban list for a reason. Not a bad card. Big Welcome Labrynth. So this is like more of like what I'm talking about here. So I'm going to go ahead and do this. That way I can bring back the silver and then just special summon this again. So that's a really, really good loop too, right? I'm going to go ahead and just pop a random card from his hand. I can pop the field spell here. That's going to pop, you know, activate Sara. That's very, very good. And I probably should, right? Just special summon Silver Castle. That way if I use the Imperm, it triggers and I can grab myself another, you know, normal trap. He's going to go over Sara. That's fine. I have another extra copy in the deck. Doesn't really matter. Like, once you get your engine rolling, too, I can go into another Sara. I can go ahead and, you know, pop that back row back up to his hand, which is really good. I'm going to activate Imperm there, which is going to trigger. And he's going to activate the effect, but it includes the effect of Surge. So, Ash Blossom is just such a crazy card. It really is. And then Dionia. I don't actually have any whole normal traps in my graveyard at that point, but I didn't want to bring out any of the other ones because I didn't need their effects to either pop a spell or trap card or to you know, banish a special summon monster. So this works too. Bottomless trap hole, right? That triggers. That's so good. Like, once you, oh, like literally you can see it becomes overwhelming. So I'm going to go ahead and just probably pop a card that he controls. Probably just that back row. It's Fiendish Chain, which is kind of hilarious. I special summon this new one so I could banish this card. It was face down. So once it gets back, I was assuming it's probably like a flip summon monster effect. I don't even know if it was. But one thing I wanted to show is, yeah, you can't, like, I knew I was going to win the duel because, I mean, take a look. So what I wanted to show is, like, this is an important interaction. Like, Gaga Magician. So it's like, oh, you can bring back an XYZ monster. You'd think like, oh, I can bring this back. That's so cool. Because when I was first playing Yu-Gi-Oh, I thought that's how it worked. But you can only bring back, you can only monster reborn like extra deck monsters if they've been properly summoned first. So in that case, it wasn't. I ended up just using it as the body to attack, you know, and that's pretty cool. But, you know, that's just the end of the game. Look at this. Look at how much cards I have. My opponent definitely is not going to be able to do anything. So that's pretty neat. But yeah, that is a long look at Traptrix Labrynth, or Labrynth Traptrix. Let me know what you guys think about this in the comment section down below, and that's going to do it for today's video, and I'll see you guys next time.